Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm just going to wait for some of you guys to tune in. Good morning. It's been a hell of a week. So I know I was supposed to, well, I'm not supposed to, but I wanted to come on live a couple of times this week, but just had too much going on. So I couldn't come on live. But how is everyone doing? Say hi. Let me know if this is your first time. Even if it's not your first time, definitely say hi. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Hey, Kiki. Thank you for tuning in. Zizi, thank you for tuning in. Good morning, OJ. Good morning, Happy Child on Instagram. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, um, YouTube. Today, well, before I start talking, let me introduce myself. For those of you tuning in for the first time, oh, Flat B, this is your first time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Where are you tuning in from? Exceptional. Good morning. Okay, good morning, everybody. But definitely let me know if this is your first time so I can give you a shout out at some point when I finish talking about what I'm talking about. But let me officially introduce myself. My name is Ayesha Chidole. I'm an immigration attorney and I represent clients in all 50 states of the United States with their family immigration matter, humanitarian matters, your VAWA cases, conditional removals, marriage-based cases, petitioning for your family members. Your location doesn't matter. I can assist you with regardless of what state you live in. To reach me or to reach my office, it's 407-995-6567. You can also send a WhatsApp text. If you want us to call you back, 404-333-875 when I completely forgot. Anyway, it's in my profile. So if you're on Instagram, you can definitely check my profile to confirm that it's correct. If you are on Facebook, it is scrolling through the sticker or ticker right now. And it's also doing the same thing on YouTube. Okay. So, okay, so let's talk. Let's talk, guys. I have a good topic for you guys today. Today, I want to talk about reasons why a person can get denied when they submit a VAWA petition. If you don't know what VAWA means, I'm just going to give you a quick a quick summary of what it means, and then we'll talk about things that cause denial. So VAWA essentially means Violence Against Women's Act. I do hate what the full name means because it makes people think that it's only for women, but it's not only for women, it's also for men, it's also for children, it's also for parents who have abusive relationships with either their spouse, their parent, or their child. So if you have an abusive spouse that's a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, you could be eligible. If you have an abusive parent, that's a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, you could be eligible. Obviously, there's still some other things that you need to meet in terms of requirement, what age you need to be when you file and all that, but you could be eligible. And the same applies if you have an abusive child who's over the age of 21 and they're U.S. citizens, you could be eligible. There are obviously other things that go into eligibility, but if that is one of the first basics that we first of all need to establish to determine whether you're eligible or not. And if you see me going up and down, it's because I have different screens on for the different platforms. So pardon my head bob. And what VAWA does is that when you submit a VAWA petition based on the scenario that I just gave, you and you're eligible and you get approved, you will get a 10-year green card, and you're eligible, for citizenship after 3 years due to the abuse that you experience. So, you turn basically that lemon of your abuse into lemonade by getting your green card. So, outside of saying that, there are things that cause people to get denied. So let's start with the first one. The first one, is not having a strong declaration or having no declaration at all. And pardon me, my nail is broken, so ignore that. But anyway, so as I was saying, not having a strong declaration at all. And what is a declaration? A declaration is basically a personal statement that is from the eyes of the person who has been abused. So it is your story of what happened. You guys have to think about it like this. There are two decision processes in VAWA cases. The first decision process is made sight unseen, meaning you're not interviewed for them to make a decision on your VAWA case. They make a decision based on what is submitted. So, and then once they decide that, then, they schedule you for your green card interview, even though we've been seeing a lot of bypass recently for interview scheduling. I don't know the rhyme or reason to that, but the point is the first step is made based on what is submitted. And so a lot of times they're relying on your testimony and your statement of what happened to be able to determine, oh, Jane Doe went through this really, really atrocious abuse with her spouse, or Johnny was really abused by his parent, or whatever it is. So you really need to be very detailed. I know a lot of us, I'm of African descent myself, or those of us from the Caribbean, a lot of times we don't have time for to dilly-dally, meaning stuff might be going on and we don't have time to be depressed. We don't have time to be sad. Life must go on. We got stuff to do. And sometimes, it doesn't translate or communicate well, in a declaration. This is not one of those times where you get a prize for having your emotions together, holding your emotions together. So it is really important that you really share what you're experiencing, what you experience, and how it's making you feel. This is not a time to be strong or whatever. You really need to express that, because if you don't express that, when somebody's reading that, they're like, well, this just seems like, ordinary marital squabble. It's really not that bad. So you need to communicate the truth of what happened and how it's affected you, so you can have a strong declaration. The second reason why a person could get denied is a lack of good moral character. So, there are different petitions that, you apply for, and they look at, your arrest records and different things. But with VAWA cases, they are looking at the last 3 years and good moral character. So you must submit proof of good moral character. Personally, the way we do it here is we always like to submit an FBI report. If we have criminal issues, it's one of those things where I have to evaluate the criminal issue to determine, okay, what is this? Is a crime of moral turpitude? When did this happen? To determine whether or not, it affects your chances or not. But you really just want to stay out of trouble, honestly, if you're an immigrant, because, you could literally be, from the arrest, even if you do your time or whatever, you could be deported. So just stay out of trouble. Okay. And then the third thing that could get you denied is no cohabitation. So in order for you to qualify for VAWA, you have to show that you cohabitated with your abuser. Even if you don't currently live, and cohabitation, for those of you who don't know, means living. Even if you don't currently live with your abuser, you have to show that at some point you lived with this person. So we don't have a timeline of how long you had to have lived with a person, or how many months, how many years, how many whatever, but we do have to show cohabitation. We've had cases that were approved based on them having lived together for just 2 months, but we must show proof of that living together. So it is really important. I know sometimes when you are in an abusive situation, it is difficult to especially if you have a spouse that's controlling, and they don't want you to that your spouse doesn't want you to be listed on anything. They don't want you to be on any bank statements. They don't want you to, basically they don't want you to be listed on anything as a form of control. If you have friends, or family that you've confided in, that know you live there, if your spouse, like somebody's asking, what about if you can't be on the rental agreement? So if you're not on the rental agreement, but let's say you live in a building where you might be friends with a neighbor in the building, get a statement from an affidavit from the neighbor who can confirm that you guys live together. right? Get a statement from the property management saying, yep, this person lives here, but we couldn't put the person's name on the rental agreement because either they didn't have a social security number, or whatever it is, and then sometimes it might not necessarily be a rental agreement that you might have, sometimes you have other things that indicate that you live there. So for example, like, if let's say you work or something like that, your job usually will have your address, right? If you have insurance, your insurance usually have your address. If you have a car, a car note, your title will usually have your address. And so we want to be able to see that address, matches your spouse's address. You understand what I'm saying? So so we definitely there are definitely other things to use for proof of cohabitation other than a rental agreement. And you guys, as you're coming in, feel free to ask your questions because I will try to answer as many of them as I can. I just have 3 more points to make and then I'll just start going through the questions. And so the other thing is that can get you denied is remarrying somebody while your case is pending. I don't know how many times I've had to answer this. No, you cannot get married while you have a VAWA case pending, because if you get married while you have a VAWA case pending, just kiss your green card goodbye. You have to find another means to apply for your green card, because essentially, they look at it as you've abandoned your application. Think about it this way. It's like if you file for a green card and you leave the country without getting while your case is pending, without getting a travel permit approved, that's the same thing. It's like you've abandoned your application. And that's how they look at remarrying. Like if you remarry somebody while your case is pending, it's like peace out, you're done. Now if you're divorced, and you're dating somebody else, that's on you. You can date somebody else, you can do whatever, just don't remarry the person. Okay, and then the other thing is that you need to apply for your VAWA petition, within 2 years of your divorce. So, if you call me 2 years and 5 months after you've gotten divorced to tell me how horrible your spouse was, and you want to apply for VAWA and blah, 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 you won't qualify. You won't qualify. So, it is okay to apply for VAWA if you're divorced, but you must apply before the 2-year anniversary of your divorce. So it is okay to be divorced, but you must apply within the 2-year window. And another question some people ask me as it relates to divorce is, okay, I have submitted my VAWA application, can I divorce my spouse? Like I always say to people, divorce is a personal and emotional choice. I can't make that choice for you. But if the question you're asking me is if you divorce your spouse, is it going to affect your VAWA application? The answer is no, it's not going to affect your VAWA application because nobody's stopping you from getting a divorce from somebody who's abusing you. And then the other question I also get is, if I choose to still stay with my spouse, if I file a VAWA petition, is that going to affect my case? The same way it's not going to affect your case. Some people stay with their spouses, due to fear and terror, and maybe they need that. They need to get their green card to have the courage to leave, and you're not going to be penalized for that. So that's that. The last thing that I forgot to talk about, what's my list? 1 second, guys. Okay, is another reason that you could get denied is if you have no credible evidence of abuse. So, and I use the word credible because credible means something that is it's most likely true than not true. So there is no requirement of a specific document, a specific police report, a specific psychological evaluation, a specific picture of an injury, a specific anything. It is in the totality of what is submitted that they determine whether all these things submitted, is it credible or not that this person was abused. So you submitting a form, which sometimes people come to me and say, well, we never got a prima facie, or my VAWA case was denied. I'm like, okay, show me what you submitted. They're like, well, here's what I submitted. It's the form. Of course, you're going to get denied if you just submit a form. No declaration, no proof of abuse, no cohabitation, no nothing. So if you gather all these things that I'm talking about here, you definitely will increase your chances of of success and an approval. I'm going to answer your questions, but before I answer your questions, I wanted to tell you guys about 10 days of giving, which is starting next week. So as you guys know, it is Thanksgiving. November is Thanksgiving month. And, I strongly believe in giving back. So I am going to be having prizes for 10 days. Basically, you're going to have the chance to win $100 every day, and $500 is a grand prize. I'm going to be putting the details later on today or tomorrow. So you guys definitely want to be on the lookout for that. And I'm going to be announcing the winner every night. Well, my kids are probably going to be announcing the winner every night. I'm going to do like a little raffle once you follow the instructions every night. I haven't decided what time yet. At night, I'm going to do it probably 8 o'clock or something like that, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But I'll confirm in my post. So be on the lookout for that. Follow the instructions if you want to be entered to win. I wanted to do this, quickly enough so that people will have whatever it is that they need to buy their Thanksgiving turkey or to celebrate with their family. And that's just my way of giving back and being thankful. Even though I have some crazy haters, I'm sure you guys saw my social media posts on some of the messages I get. And I just posted that for you guys to see how I go to bat for you guys. I get those messages every day. Like, I can't tell you how many people are angry because I represent immigrants, so I get those types of messages all the time, But the thing is, you have to be a strong person to do the job that we do. But every time, I get that, it makes me more determined to go to bat, to show more results, to get this people and these clients approved and change their lives, because nothing is going to stop that. Okay. So I'm off my pedestal. Let me answer some of your questions. Okay. Good morning, Christiana from Brooklyn. Olaita, good morning from Dallas. Aroena, good morning from New York. Novelette, good morning from New York. New York in the house. Did you guys know I used to live in New York? Okay. Somebody S1991 on YouTube says, after VAWA is approved, how long does it take for USCIS to send information to your resignation state? What do you mean resignation state? I don't understand the question. Jude, good morning to you as well. And thank you. Mahogan Ayala says, good morning, Ayesha. Looking good as always. Thank you very much. Brendan, good morning. MK Cash Money, good morning. KK says, can I still marry a U.S. citizen if my VAWA is denied? So yeah, you can marry a U.S. citizen if you want, if your VAWA case is denied. But I always want to know the reason why a person's VAWA case is denied. One thing that, we see a lot is that people will marry somebody and they will file a green card and their case is denied, and USCIS specifically say because they suspect marriage sham, and then they remarry another person, they have kids with the person, and then they submit an application like, oh, I know that my marriage is legitimate, and then they get denied because USCIS reverts back to the other case. So it is always my preference to understand and to know why your initial case was denied and whether you have a fighting chance of fighting back, because if you have a marriage sham judgment, you're not going to be able to adjust your green card. It's like putting needles in a haystack unless you're able to prove that, you have the proof before they let you move on. So it's really important that, if you have a denial based on them not believing your marriage, that you just get everything that you can so that whatever other petition that you file, that you prepare yourself, for them bringing that up. Ella says, you need to report those accounts. If possible, get a police report. Trust the process. Honestly, it's just giving them too much life and too much energy. Like, I just block them, and I definitely report them because, with Instagram and Facebook, you have the option to select hate speech and hate message. So I definitely do report them, but I just block them, like, and just keep it moving, Because imagine if I was filing police reports every day. Like, I'm not joking when I tell you guys that I get those messages every day. Get this immigrants out of this country. You're helping illegals, blah, 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 or whatever. I get it all the time, But even though people forget that everybody or almost everybody in the United States is an immigrant, whether it was your parents or your forefathers, we all came here from somewhere. But anywho, so as I digress. So Kosi says, good morning. Do you take emergency appointments? Honestly, it is dependent on my schedule, so I can't answer that unless I know the date and what, is at stake and who I can move around, because, other people are scheduled. So if I have somebody that's potentially scheduled and is willing to make the change, or allow me to adjust it because of the emergency, then, I could, but it just depends on the emergency, because it has to be something that I can take or do. Like, if somebody has an emergency where like they have an interview and I know that, in order for me to attend an interview, I have to cancel like 5 appointments because I'm going to be at the interview location for between 2 and 4, that's like 5 hours. I probably will not be able to take that. So it just depends, but you can call and we'll see. Okay, let me scroll through. Brendan says on YouTube says, is it a positive sign to get a prima facie renewed 20 days after an RFE was sent and received by USCIS on a VAWA case? The case is over 3 years. Well, a prima facie is always good. And that's why I always say to my clients, and I say to you guys, a prima facie is not a guarantee of approval. So please do not let anybody or any attorney tell you that a prima facie guarantees you an approval, because that information is not accurate. That being said, a prima facie determination letter is a good sign. It means that you've met the bare minimum where they can give you this document to allow you to take these benefits. And now we're going to go through your application with a fine-tooth comb. And if there's anything additional we need, we're going to send you a request for additional evidence. And, as long as you submit whatever they're asking for your request for additional evidence, hopefully your case will turn out positively. And prima facies, once you've received a prima facie originally, you will always, or you should always get one automatically every 6 months thereafter. So that is standard. It has to come because you got it initially. But you getting an RFE, I always say, don't be afraid of an RFE. Like sometimes an RFE is just asking, certain, requests for additional evidence, but it doesn't mean that your case is going to be denied. So just make sure that you respond to your RFE and make sure that you send it to the right address, and make sure that you attach a copy of your RFE to wherever you're responding to, so that you make sure that it goes to where it needs to go to. Dwayne, good morning. You're connected says, I don't have proof of abuse. Can I still get VAWA? I don't believe that you don't have proof of abuse. I would need to screen you to know whether you actually don't have proof or not, because sometimes people think proof is physical evidence. So, a lot of times I have to screen you and ask you certain questions of what you have and you don't have. And then I'm able to say, okay, we have stuff, or we have enough stuff to put together a case, or not. Okay. Okay, let me take some of you guys. Oh, sorry, Instagram. They are telling me that I'm not reading their questions. The Flabby says, I have done my first interview with the USCIS. It's still pending. My wife has moved out. Can I do VAWA even though I have a pending case? Absolutely. Call me 407-995-6567. You definitely can still do a VAWA petition even if you have a pending case. Phenomenally Ambitious says, you and your law firm are amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Faiz Salat says, good morning. You look beautiful. Thank you so much. Somebody says, La Quinta says, how long does it take for VAWA approval? I filed in June, got my prima facie already, but still waiting on employment authorization not received. So La Quinta, it depends on what employment authorization that you're waiting for. All VAWA cases, or no, let me not say all. Most VAWA cases, or the average VAWA case, takes between 24 months to 2.5 years. That being said, there are going to be some people that will be approved in like 18 months. There are going to be some people that are going to be approved in 3 years. So basically what I'm trying to say is that there's no definitive date of approval in anything with immigration. If any of you have dealt with immigration, you know that that's actually factual what I'm saying. You could be one of those lucky people that yours happens quickly. The earliest that I've had, and it is literally the only person, it is not normal at all. Hers got approved in 6 months. That is not normal. That's not the norm, to the point where I thought it was a mistake, until we got everything and the entire approval. And I was like, what the heck? That is not normal. The normal time is between 24 months to 2.5 years. That's the average time. Obviously they're slowly creeping, slower and slower. But, we also do see some of our clients, even in the very recent times, getting it at the 18-month mark. But it just really depends. When people say, oh, my cousin did this and they got theirs there, or my friend did this and they got theirs there, I always have to remind people, look, your stuff is, you guys probably don't have the same officer. You don't know what your officer's caseload is. The other person might have an officer that works quicker. The other person might have an officer that works slower. You're also at the mercy of when you submit your stuff to the immigration lock boxes. These people that are, sieving through all these things. Some people work faster, some people don't work faster. Same thing with scheduling interviews as a general. It's truly the luck of the draw. I don't know if I told you guys this, I filed for somebody's naturalization in October. That I filed for their naturalization, meaning this October. And guess what? The person has an interview in November. Literally 1 month. But that is not normal. That person just got lucky. So maybe, you'll be one of those who gets lucky. Or maybe you'll be one of those who your timeline falls with the average people. But because it falls with the average people doesn't mean you're not going to get approved. I know it's frustrating, waiting, but, you just have to wait your time. I always say delay is not denial. I tell that to my kids. So I'm telling that to you as well. Delay is not denial. Just try and be patient. And then the question about your work permits is... the answer is it depends on what you submitted. Did you submit, an adjustment of status application and a work permit application attached to your adjustment of status when you submitted your VAWA? If you did, that timeline of when you're going to get your work permit is going to be different than if you just submitted a VAWA standalone petition requesting for a work permit upon approval. Because if you did the latter, what will happen is you're not going to get your work permit till your VAWA case is approved. And I just told you VAWA cases take 2 years. So it could take that long. So hopefully you did an adjustment of status. And if you did an adjustment of status, then you're looking at anywhere from 5 months to 10 months right now. Yeah, it's that varied. So Sub-Zero says car insurance is kind of tricky because some insurance, you have to have the same state license plate to get insurance. I don't even know what this is in reference to. Yeah, I don't know what this is in reference to. So are you saying if you proof of cohabitation? Is that what? Then find the insurance that works. Then don't use the insurance that's going to give you a hard time. Just like when people tell me, oh, I don't have a social security number, I can't get a bank account. Find a bank that lets you get join with your partner. Bank of America does that. Don't make things difficult for yourself. If one person says no, you go to the other person. You keep knocking until somebody opens the door. If a person has a clean criminal record, but after filing for VAWA, they get separated from their spouse, then they have a child with someone else, but they aren't married or engaged, can that affect the case? Well, technically it shouldn't. You've moved on. Obviously you're filing a VAWA case because you're not with your spouse or because your spouse is abusive and you plan to leave your spouse. So it's what it is. There's no disqualification for having a child out of wedlock, but there is a disqualification for remarrying somebody. Okay. Instagram, did I get you all? Someone Sub-Zero says, let's say the person is on Section 8. I'm thinking that question is in reference to lease. If they're on Section 8, we've had clients that were in Section 8 that we still got approved. So there are other things that you can do to show cohabitation. Let's see. So Ella says a case that was denied because USCIS ruled it as a sham marriage and gave a 30-day period to appeal, and then the appeal was also denied. Then the person refiled a new application after about a month. Is this a continuation? You kind of stopped abruptly. Okay. A new application was filed. You received a mail saying the old case was reconsidered based on a court order. What can you say of this? Yeah, yours is not one that I can talk about on live. It's a very specific case, so you can schedule a consult and we can go over what you received, and then I can advise you legally what to do. How long after filing for VAWA can you receive a biometric appointment? There's no timeline to receive a biometric appointment. When you file VAWA, it could be a couple of weeks later, a couple of months later. It's just really up to USCIS to do it. But generally, you need biometrics in order for you to get your work permit. So it will come before your work permit because you need that. Or if you're already in the immigration system, meaning you recently filed for another kind of application, or you were recently granted something, we are seeing a lot of biometric bypasses where they bypass your biometric and instead just use your old biometrics. Okay, so B says, good morning, attorney. If an applicant filed early May this year and also has a prima facie, how long will it take to get a combo card? So, again, the answer just really depends on where you fall, on the pendulum. So, like I said, it could take anywhere from 5 months to 10 months. So if you did it in May, June, July, August, September, October, November, so that's about 6 months. So any day from now until 10 months, could be when you get it. And this is assuming that you filed an adjustment of status and that you filed a work permit and selected the right category. So, when we give you guys timelines, like I always say, this timelines, I know are not a guarantee that you will fall in that timeline. We're giving you a timeline based on what USCIS says as a timeline, but you could get it earlier or you could get it later. Okay, so let's see. Dishus Nakaya says, if you don't have evidence of abuse, what should I do? Did I not just answer this question, Dishus? Or did you just join me? Was it not you that asked that? Well, you can probably just scroll. Like when I get off live, rewind this video. I just talked about this, and proven credible evidence that a lot of times people think that they have to have one thing, or one thing is the deal breaker, or my wife slapped me, but I just don't have any evidence. I don't have any marks on my face. I didn't file a police report. But there are many things that you can put together to show a pattern of behavior that arises to the level of abuse, and things that you can use to corroborate it to help your case. So without speaking to you, it's difficult to say, I don't have any proof of abuse, because I don't know if you don't have any proof of abuse. This is you telling me that, but I haven't asked you any question. I haven't asked you, well, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have that? And the only way for me to ask you that is when you schedule a consultation. Okay. Okay. Lakita says, thank you. You just answered the question I was about to ask on the biometric because I did it already. Does that mean they'll send it? Well, if you did your biometrics, if there's nothing else that's barring you, I'm sure you'll get it. Hopefully, fingers crossed. If you're in removal proceedings, though, you will not get a travel permit. They'll probably deny that. All right, let me see. Okay, guys, I think I've answered all the questions today. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay blessed. And I will talk to you guys next week. And for those of you wondering or that are new, I generally come on sometime between 8 to 10. It just depends on my schedule that day, what's going on, but hit the subscribe button and the notification button so that you know when I come on live. That way, you won't miss me coming on live. And, I'd love for you to share my video. And again, stay tuned for my 10 days of giving. It's going to be good and it's going to be fun. And, you want to win that money so that you can, buy some turkey for Thanksgiving. All right, guys, I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.